Robles. We're just going to, for the viewers' interest, just so that they know what you're talking about as well. Here's what he had to say.
He doesn't listen. You know, Andy doesn't listen. Andy doesn't listen to anybody. And, you know, so Andy's a great guy, man. He's a great fighter. But he's got to hold himself, he's got to learn to hold himself accountable. You know what I mean? He's got to learn to look and stare at himself in the mirror and say, hey, listen, I need to change. You know, because it's easier to point fingers. It's, like I said, it's easy to remove people and say, well, it was his fault, it was his fault. No, it's your fault. Take the blame yourself and grow up.
I mean, this was your guy in your corner, right? Did that hurt?
It did hurt a little bit, you know, and he just said to tell the truth and admit it, and that's exactly what I did after the fight, you know. I admitted it, I told the camera crew and all that, but, you know, things happen. I'm not the first fighter to change trainers, you know, so I think this is going to be a good change for me, and, you know, wherever I'm going to go, as long as I put my 100% effort, everything's going to come out great.
So was it your decision to part ways? Because that was something that was kind of rumored to be, there were lots of different sources and ideas.
It was our decision. It was a whole team decision, you know, and I didn't really want this to happen, but it just happened, and, you know, it's nothing else more to say, just to train hard and
Did you hold him responsible? Did you think that he was in part responsible for the loss? Because otherwise, I guess the question is, you know, why part ways?
No, I didn't think it was his fault or nothing, you know, because he just said that I wasn't listening, that I wasn't training hard, and that's exactly what I said to everybody else, you know, and I know that when I come back, for sure I'm going to train hard, I'm going to bust my ass off, and I'm going to get that titles back.
You said whichever direction I end up going, I assume that means that you haven't yet made it.
Those are the words of Andy the Destroyer Ruiz. And basically, he was put on the spot because, of course, his ex-trainer, Manny Robles, said he doesn't listen. He's going to have to look into the mirror. He's going to have to know exactly what he needs to do to build himself back up. The number one guy on the redemption list, okay, and that list is growing, by the way. Stay tuned for that. But he said, well, it kind of hurt me a little bit, but, you know, I admitted it. And then you admitted it to your trainer, and then we go always back to the same thing. If you admitted it was your fault, you should have trained more, you didn't listen, you should have listened, why are you getting more trainers? His rebuttal was, I know people, the other fighters, they get other trainers, and it's no problem. But then, if it wasn't the case, if it wasn't his fault, why are you getting more trainers? See, people, you need to understand something. Manny Robles was only saying what he said because he was telling the truth due to something. It was an injustice by him. The man wanted to do his job, and he wasn't allowed to because Andy Ruiz was not listening anymore, and it came to money, and then that money demotivated him. Bottom line, he knew it. So if you come on television and you say and you admit what I told my trainer, what I told my father, I gave them both apologies. Well, why are we having this situation where you feel you have to change trainers? It makes no sense to me. I'm looking at it like, okay, you have this trainer in your corner. This trainer in your corner didn't do you any ill will, meant nothing but the best, did what he could do when you were in the gym, and we don't know how long or how much that really was. Then you get asked, then he gets asked, whose idea was it? He said, well, it was my whole team. See, that's really not showing a lot because the whole thing was, it was supposed to have been by who? Al Heyman, right? So, is his team consist of Al Heyman? Because he's not really being specific. Like, whose idea? Well, it was my idea. Well, so, if he's either lying to cover up the truth, or someone's lying and saying it's Al Heyman's fault, and I don't really see Al Heyman coming in there doing that. I really don't see that, because there's no reason for him to do that. If it was something that he was instructed that was wrong or wasn't right, that would be one thing for Manny Robles. But Manny Robles did what he's supposed to do, and he just didn't listen, and Andy Ruiz had no rebuttal. He had no counterpunch for that. It kind of hurt me, but I admit it's true. Exactly. So it's true. So, in other words, Andy Ruiz, like Manny Robles said, has to look in the mirror. Now, what I will add to this, though, Andy Ruiz, he did make a sly comment about Deontay Wilder'S, like, well, you know, I got beat and everything, but at least I didn't get knocked out. You know what I mean? So, you know, that was him kind of slick capping on Deontay Wilder, and he was smiling like he was very excited and happy that that fighter won. That particular fighter won, and that particular fighter was not a part of his stable. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think about Andy Ruiz responding to Manny Robles' comments. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.